Welcome into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast on Sports Illustrated. I'm your host, Tom Cavanaugh. You can follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X and follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI. Today, we're going to be talking about men's and women's basketball. We'll start with the men. Sunday, they take on another Big Ten opponent. They got the Ducks on hand, number 12 ranked Oregon. They're 9-0 on the year now, earning a very, very big win the other day, taking down UCLA's rival, USC. They did it on the road. Oregon won 68-60. They have now beaten, they've already beaten two ranked opponents. USC hasn't had the best start to their season, but nonetheless a good win for the Oregon Ducks, and they will host the Bruins at 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's 3 p.m. Pacific on Sunday, December 8th. We'll break down a few of their top players, and then we'll look at them as a team as a whole. We'll start with the team as a whole, actually. Points per game, this team doesn't score a lot. I mean, in comparison to other teams around the Big Ten, they rank 11th. They're scoring just under 80 points a game, but their differential is good. They're only allowing up 67.7 points per game, so that's a 12.2 point differential in the plus favor. So Oregon does a really nice job of not turning the ball over either. They're actually ranked 13th in the conference out of 18 teams, only averaging 10.8 turnovers a game. They're strong at rebounding. They got a boy in Nate Biddle, who is a monster, who helps out with that. Oregon ranks 5th in rebounds per game with just under 40. They're at 39.1 per game. Offensive rebounding, another one of their strong suits. This is where the Bruins, who also do a really nice job of offensive rebounding, they rank 3rd and the Ducks are 4th. But that's a spot where UCLA is going to have to block out on the defensive glass and find a way to not let Biddle and company find success, because right now Oregon, they're averaging 12 offensive rebounds a game. UCLA just a tick under 13. 3-point shooting, really not that great for Oregon. They're 33%, ranking outside the top 10 in the conference. Field goal percentage, same deal. They're ranked 14th in the conference out of 18 teams at 45.4%. They're not the best scoring team, but they don't turn the ball over and they play good defense, so that's why they're 9-0 at the moment. If the Bruins are able to keep pace and score a high total somewhere in the 80s, mid-80s to 90, they should win this ball game. When you look at some players, Nate Biddle, the senior center at 7 feet 220, force to be reckoned with, obviously. I mean, a guy's putting up 13.6 points per game. He has had a very impressive start to the year. He has scored in double digits in almost every single game. Had 19 against Alabama, had 23 against Oregon State earlier this year. I mean, the kid can ball. Only had 5 points against USC in 15 minutes of play. I'm sorry, in 21 minutes of play. But still, he's going to be the top priority for the Bruins to keep off the glass, considering he leads the team in rebounds, leads the team in scoring, and blocks. Senior TJ Bamba, he's a guard from the Bronx, New York, and he's another guy that's very dangerous offensively, 12.2 points per game. He had a season high 22 against San Diego State, had another 18 against Texas A&M, who was ranked, and chipped in with 12 against Alabama. So he can score in double digits at any time. He's very good around the rim, kind of like Sebastian Mack when it comes to finishing at the cup and getting there. Also has an outside shot to go with it as well. His three-point shooting percentage is 34%, which isn't terrible, and his field goal percentage a little bit lower than what he'd like at 36%. Another guy, another guard, this time it's going to be a sophomore, Jackson Shelstad. He's 3rd on the team in points per game. He has found ways to score, shooting the ball 25% from 3, 34 from the field. He's averaging 11.3 per game, just 3.8 rebounds and 3.6 assists. But he popped off against USC. I mean, he's coming off a season-high game, 24 points, 5 of 13 shooting. He is, I mean, we talk about a Sebastian Mack. The guy went to the free throw line 14 times, and he sunk 12 of them. So that's another big piece for the Bruins. Do not foul Jackson Shelstad when he's on his way to the rim, because the guy is going to find a way to get there and make free throws. Finally, one other guy we want to talk about is Keyshawn Bartholomew. Another guard, senior. I mean, this is a Oregon team packed with veterans, just like we're seeing with the Bruins. So it's a very similar matchup in that aspect when it comes to depth and experience. 40 points in his last 2 games for Keyshawn. Had 22 against Alabama to lead the team, and then had 18 against USC a game ago. I mean, this kid can score, man. You look at his shooting; he was 7-11, 6-9 in his last 2, perfect from the free throw line. Chipped in with some assists. He had 5 assists against Alabama, had 5 against USC, 4 against Alabama, and these are top programs. So he's a good ball facilitator while also being able to put it in the cup. He is one of 4 Duck players to be in double digits average in scoring. We're moving on now to the number 1 team in women's college basketball, the UCLA Bruins. We talked about it over the last couple of weeks. Huge win over South Carolina, knocking them off. They were the number 1 team, 43-game win streak. I mean, they were incredible win. They got the number 1 spot, and they've kept it. Now, they're going to be playing their very first Big Ten game this Sunday as well. So it's funny. Men's basketball, they play on the road against Oregon. That is going to be a game that is going to be played on the road for UCLA. And the Bruins are going to do the same thing on the women's side. They're going to go to Washington and play the Huskies. Both teams just hours apart from playing. UCLA men's at 3 p.m. Eastern time, women's at 5 p.m. Eastern time. The Washington Huskies are coming in at 7-2 currently. They're 1-0 in the Big Ten, so that's a good start for them. But you look around some of the stats for this Huskies team, only averaging 75 points per game. They have a good differential, though. They are only giving up 57.1, so their defense has been good so far this season. You look at their free throw percentage, they're third at 75%. 3-point range, they can fill it up. They're shooting 34.8% from beyond the arc. Normal shooting, just overall, not the greatest. They rank 10th in the conference at 46%. And I think the one glaring thing to watch out for here for UCLA to take advantage of is the number of turnovers that the Washington Huskies have. They turn the ball over 15.7 times per game. UCLA is going to find a way to get that number higher than 15 and just suffocate and cause issues for this Washington squad. When you look all up around their scores, similar to what we were talking about with Oregon, this Washington ladies team has 4 different scorers that are averaging double digits, starting with Elle Ladine. She's a junior from San Francisco, a very good player. She's had a couple of solid games, and when you look at this Washington record so far, they are not 1-0 in conference. They have not played a conference game yet this year. They lost by 1 point to number 7 LSU, though. That's one to look for. They did lose to Montana back in the middle of November, and those are the 2 losses for the team. Their last game, they went up against a different school in the Southern Jaguars. Just, I guess, Southern is the school name. Apologies if I haven't heard of it. So 7-2, a fine record, but you lose handedly to Montana. Bad loss. And then you also lose by 1 to LSU, which is a good loss considering they took them to the brink. So it looks like Washington can compete with anybody. I can easily see the Bruins having a tightrope contest with the Huskies. When you look at the numbers that Elle Ladine has put up, the top scorer for the Huskies, 24 points in her last 2 games. She has all but 1 game. 8 out of 9 games, she's in double digits. She's likely going to be getting hers, and the Bruins will have to find a way to kind of either limit her or take away the other pieces and just allow her to do her thing, and everybody else can play a silent role. Savia Sellers is the next highest scorer, a sophomore from Anchorage, Alaska. She's averaging 14.8 per game and has really impressed in her last 3. 16 points against Prairie View, 24 points in the loss against LSU, so you know she can play on the big stage against a good team, and then 11 points against Southern. Finally, we're going to talk about Delia Daniels. She is a senior forward. She's going to be the post presence at 6'4", out of Seattle, Washington. She's playing in her backyard, averaging 10.4 points per game, 6 rebounds a game, and 2 assists. Her field goal percentage upwards of 50, so you know that she's in and around the basket pretty often. She had 10 points in her last game against Southern. Her best night was 13 against Montana in a loss. She's not scoring a ton, but she's pulling down a fair amount of rebounds. had 9 against LSU, had 11 against Prairie View. She's anywhere from 7 to 11 rebounds a game. And the Bruins, Lauren Betts specifically, who is the paint presence for UCLA, they're going to have to battle throughout the night. So a couple of really nice matchups. UCLA men's basketball, they're going to be taking on their second Big Ten opponent. They took down Washington at home by double digits, and now they're going to look to play spoiler and upset the undefeated 8-0 Oregon Ducks. On the women's side, they're cracking into Big Ten play for the first time in their school history, their program history, taking on Washington, a team that is 7-2, still a very solid squad. They turn the ball over a lot. They shoot the 3-ball well, but also the Bruins, they're the number 1 team, and they're the ones to beat. So we're going to see a great matchup. Both of those taking place on Sunday afternoon. This has been another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast, talking men's and women's basketball. Thanks so much, everybody. We will see you again tomorrow.